Alright, this is the rear suspension assembly. Now, I'm not going to remove the shock, but all you would do is just remove this screw from here, and then the shock would come out. But let's say you had to replace the arm, you would be removing that. I already showed you how to remove in a previous video the entire bottom plate, which releases your C and D blocks so that you can remove those pins and remove this. If you have not watched that video, please watch that video. But here we have the arm. One of the things to note about the arms is these things will bend downward. So make sure not to install them backwards. Also, the shocks are in this position right in here. So if you look at the assembly, you can kind of tell here the shocks go toward the front. So this is the front of the vehicle. This would be the right side. It goes like this. So make sure that you orient the shock going forward. This way you cannot mistake the arms. All right, removal of the arms. The pin actually goes out the front. So when you install them, you go front to rear. And the way that you remove the pins is by using a 1.5 millimeter driver. That 1.5 millimeter driver will remove that retaining screw. And that retaining screw is just a short little screw. Never over tighten these, you don't want to damage the arm, but that is it. Now these, you can try banging them out or just grab a pick and push it through. And that, I would say, would be the easiest way. And then you can just pull this out. This feels very smooth, so we are good. And then this will come out, just like that. If you're only planning on replacing these, then you wouldn't have to remove them from the arm. You would just have to remove the linkage, take this off. So I'll show you now. Grab a flathead screwdriver. You see this little flat portion there? You just push up. And then you can just go in here. But don't go all the way in there because that's where the pin is. So you're never going to get that off unless you break something. But I'm just working this driver. And that is it. Now once I remove the hex, notice the design, right? The perfectly flat side, this goes out. That's where the wheel attaches. This goes in. We'll place that here. We'll drop the pin through. Do not lose them. These are actually thinner than, say, a Traxxas pin, which this is the pin. If you have a Traxxas transmission with, for example, a 272 and the roll pin on the lay shaft breaks, this is a pin you can use. But I wouldn't bother with it. Just buy the new top shaft for the 272R transmission and install it. But then this will just slide right out. And let me go over the whole bearing process. Bearings, all you do is stick a driver in, push them out, and that is it. So that's one bearing. Then we're gonna go out over here, the other side. And this one's the one that's a bigger challenge just because of the design. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the driver and I'm just rotating this so you can see the bearing is coming out, and I'm just rotating this as I'm pulling out, and there it goes. So here's the other bearing. Now if you needed to service these or go in them, now you can just use a pick and carefully take the seal out. Try not to damage the seal. It really does protect the bearings from dust, but this is it. And then for this, you would just use a driver. It's a 2 millimeter driver, and you would just remove it. I'm not going to remove it. I don't have to. To reinstall the bearings, just press them in, but make sure that they're lined up correctly. If they're at an angle, you're just going to damage the parts. They're not really going to seat properly. And that's something to note. Now, let's go ahead and go for this. There's a little pin in there. You just have to pop that little guy out. It'll slide out, and this is it. So if you needed to re-grease these, there's plenty of grease. This is what you would have, and then there's this little drum inside. That's all it is. So you just slide this back in. So you would apply a little bit of grease to this and then slide this back in, which I will actually just clean and re-grease. Might as well. Anytime you take this off, just do it. Let's see. And I do have some, I'm going to be using some black grease on this. Transmissions, I do not like using black grease because black grease will gunk up after a while. But on something like this, you can get away with it because you're going to be servicing this more often. All right, a little bit of grease there. And we'll just put grease on here. And you want to line up the hole for when the pin goes in. Just like that. All right, now I can see where it is. And I'll just apply a little bit of grease here. That was more than just a little. Ah, man, I need baby fingers. I need baby fingers for this. All right. And, all right, I'll grab the pin. This accidentally moved, so now I need to find it. There we go. And that is it. Now, the only thing that retains that pin is the bearing, so you don't have to worry about it. Once this is reassembled, just go in there and then the bearing will hold it in. And that is it. All right. Now, we're gonna grab the other pin, slide it in through here. And once it's inside, grab your hex and just drive it in. Now, if you do add power, I would recommend you replace these with aluminum hexes. And the reason why is these will, because it's plastic on plastic, they will begin to warp, and then they'll warp inside to where they will just spin inside of the wheel and destroy your wheel. So aluminum hexes are the better way to go. Now these, I did not hear a click. Usually they click. Let me just go ahead and grab this, and then I'll try pushing over here. But, no, that's it. Usually it makes a nice little loud click. This time it did not, but it's in there. Once I put the wheel in, everything will be fine. But we have that. We've taken it apart, reassembled it, and we can go ahead and reinstall. Now, orientation is important, right? Because this is on, it has to go this way. Do not install it this way. This makes no sense unless you were trying to do it that way, but I don't know why. So just make sure that this ball stud is facing the shock, and that is all you need. Remember, if you look at here, the pin cannot go through for the suspension arm, but it can go through here, so there's only one place you can stick this through, and it's this entry. Move it in, it will be flush, and then you can grab that retaining screw, and that retaining screw will go right in here. And that's it. Once you reach that stop, just stop. Don't keep trying to make this tight. This does not go in tight. It just goes in there and retains that little metal thing. If you keep going, you're going to damage the threads, and then if this pops out, that pin's going to back out. But that is it for the installation. I feel smooth. On the next video, I'm going to be working on showing you how the motor works. Now, really quick, I've already pointed out in how to remove this in other videos, so I'm not going to worry about that. It's just these 4 screws. This will come out. These screws here will remove the bumper, but now we're going to worry about the dust cover and everything else. Now these luckily are flexible enough so we don't have to worry about it, but I'll show you how the rest of this works. Thank you for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Please go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you have not already, and then comment below. I'll catch you in the next one.
Oh, my hair! My car! My rod!